think I'm live now. There we go. I'm live. Yeah, we had a little technical difficulty right when El Carrar was getting ready to drop the, like the Gap band. He's about to drop the bomb. You know what I mean? So I guess he'll come back in soon. And he'll ask that question. But yeah, I think it's an important thing to consider. Just in terms of like switching up that warrior stance and what that looks like, and being open to that, and not feeling like you're losing because you're changing. It is a death, but we go through so many incarnations in our lifetime. Sometimes people are just not sensitive to it. Like going from a boy to a man or girl to a woman is a death, and it's a rebirth. And the whole point of rebirthing is to sort of see if you're able to maintain consciousness and maintain understanding through each incarnation. That's the ultimate point. So if you're someone who's 15 years old and then now you turn around, you're 25 years old, have you been able to maintain your momentum and trajectory that you had when you were 15 years old? Or is that still a struggle for you? So it's always about being able to maintain your consciousness. And just because your physical stance changes, like that warrior stance changes, it doesn't necessarily mean that your consciousness is dissipated. That's the whole point. As a person gets older and they I guess Zach was talking about the stoicism. As a person gets older and they begin to go into that space where they can't do what they were able to do before. Or sometimes you get older, so you don't have the desire to do what you were doing before. That's a real thing that sometimes we don't like to be honest about. I just don't want to do it anymore, but respecting that is important. All right, so El Carrar should be along any minute, but yeah, man, switching up the warrior stance, it's a beautiful thing, man, because each generation comes and truthfully, they can just do certain things better than you can. And that's to be honored and respected. I think there's nothing, even sometimes you see that in intimate relationship or intimate ambitions. I've always been slightly annoyed when I see older guys try to scoop up all the young girls. It's like, especially if there's young men around, it's kind of like, well, they may be able to do that thing better than you can. And you might still have in your mind like you're a player or whatever, or you're sensing your expanding power and value, but you don't realize maybe that can be spent elsewhere. Here we go, man of the hour. What was you gonna ask, brother?
Oh, I was gonna ask, is that because you was talking about telling them one story? So is that the importance of basically imparting that memory to basically, like bloodline download? You tell your story so they can make new mistakes, and tell new, basically impart new memory. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But it's also like if you don't download the bloodline, man, you're gonna get your offspring in trouble. You give me $20 and send me to the store, but you don't tell me what you're sending me to the store for. I'm gonna come back home and be in trouble. You see, so we have generations out here that don't know why they were sent to the planet. They don't know their story. So now when you return to the place of the ancestors, they're going to be like, hey, did you do A, B, C, and D? What? I was supposed to do that? Nobody told me. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to kind of understand the trajectory, because we all have somebody to answer to, whether we want to admit it or not. We all got somebody to answer to. So what are your general orders? This should always be, I mean, not even always, there are general orders. What are they for us original people? Like I've always said to y'all, no matter what, you got to resurrect the mentally dead. no matter what. That's a standing order. That's not going anywhere. You know. But what are some of the other orders that we had? And what have we not fulfilled? What disappointed faces might we return to because we didn't get land in certain places? Who said we all supposed to be in Charlotte and Atlanta and Philly and Chicago? And who said that? There might be sacred places, or Los Angeles, right? West. I got you. But there might be sacred places that we were charged to go reclaim, and we didn't do it. You know, who's buried up in Las Vegas? You know, there's certain places we don't even speak about. Nevada, you know, Idaho is beautiful country. You know, we don't even think about these places because we talk about that past. We weren't corralled into those places.
Nobody told you to go there.
Right. Exactly.
Our land desert.
It's like there's all this land in like those areas like Wyoming, Oregon.
And it's empty.
And it's free, and it's cheap.
Cheap. Some of them, they'll pay you to come there. It's empty, but you like, well, ain't nothing out there. If you got an internet connection, you got everything.
Yeah.
Come on, man. This ain't back in the days. Like, you know what I mean? Everything's online now.
Hey, but it goes back to what you were saying too about like when like a celebrity, like for example, like if a rapper said, yo, we out to Wyoming, like that's where it's at. We going there. And a whole bunch of rappers are like, yeah, that's where we're going. And a whole bunch of people be like, oh yeah, we got to go to Wyoming. It's lit out there. Like, that's where it's at.
Right. Now it's Wyoming. Now that's the spot. And then now it's going to get over policed and all that. So we be having videos like, you see how they treat us out here? You know,
they only try to get lit.
Right.
They ain't trying to build nothing. It's lit out here. So I'm coming over to get lit. I'm from the planet lit. That's what we do.
Right. I'm from the planet lit. Right. But it's like, what about South America? Like, it's still the same landmass. Mm-hmm. We feel like we shouldn't go to South America because it ain't North America. But like, if your ancestors resurrected you on this landmass, why have you not walked this landmass? Mm-hmm. That's from Canada all the way down, man. Ecuador, Peru. You know, you can walk. That's the, you know, those aren't islands. Belize. Those aren't islands. You could go down there. So if we were resurrected on this landmass right here, and we were told like this is your land for you, why do we go from place to place? Because the overlord said, look here, boy, that's the reservations we set up for you. All right, that's your reservations. And if we see you step 1 foot out that reservation, you won't have some problems. Yeah, we all know it. We don't say it. Like we know Philly. Yo, there's some beautiful towns outside of Philly. You better not go there. We know Baltimore. Maryland got so many sundown towns. You 30 minutes outside of Baltimore. You don't mess around here. You better go back down and eat some of them crab legs and that beer. Go chill. You better chill out. You know what I mean? DC. You know what I'm saying? Like these are reservations. So they allow you to go from reservation to reservation to reservation to reservation. But if you say, I almost don't even want to say it because if I say, hey man, let's go set up in Ecuador. Now that's a call. See? That's a call. I knew it was a call. See, because they want to separate you from your family. They want to separate you from everything that's familiar to you and get you out there in the middle of nowhere in the jungle. See, I'm a little scared to say it. You know what I'm saying? But somebody
that's like a soundbite. Somebody's gonna clip it.
You know, at some point, you're like, you said it, brother. Brother, you said it. Is this not your voice? Yes. And answer the question, brother. You know, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, if I stop at a certain spot, why? Because some Johnny come lately came and made an artificial border. You know what I mean? There are some very sacred spiritual places in Peru. There's some temples there that you need to go to.
Mm.
I'm telling you that you need to go to. It will change you. Everything ain't that 11-hour plane ride to Africa. There are some very spiritual places here, but you stuck on the reservation. You're like, well, man, if I go to Mexico, they're going to kidnap me. The cartel going to hold me hostage. I can't go to Mexico.
They do just that.
Like the entire country is one big cartel.
Right, exactly. I can't go
And it's
there.
orange for some reason.
Orange.
Right. Can't go there. Can't go to Haiti because it's crazy over Haiti. Might not be that crazy for you though.
Mm.
It might not be that crazy for you. But we looking at these artificial borders and not realizing, like, if we were put on this landmass, look at the damn landmass. Try to squint your eyes so you can't see the lines, so you can't see the border lines. Squint your eyes. That's where you're supposed to be roaming and figuring stuff out.
Oh, Chief, you remember that movie? I brought it up a couple of months ago, but this is kind of related to your point. Battlefield Earth.
Yeah.
There's
The
a point near the end of
Scientologists came out with that movie. Yeah.
Right. And there's a point near the end of it where they're like flying the plane because they stole it to go look for weapons. And
Right.
they're looking at the map and they're like, "Are you sure we're there?" It's like, "I don't see any of these lines on the ground."
Right.
Because it's the first time reading the map.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's it right there. Like, who made these lines? Why are they so? Look at the line between Canada and America. That's like a super straight line. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. They was just like, like, how did you determine that that's where it was supposed to be? Why not a little bit higher? Why not a little bit lower? Why not a little jet? Why didn't you like go over the mountains? Like, here, y'all, we don't want that mountain. We want the part where the river is, and then y'all can have the mountain. Like, why don't go up and down like this? It's like, no, just cut it in the crap. You look at places like Montana. Montana is a box.
Yeah.
They were just like, F it. It was like, yo, we got this little area left where nobody picked. Just whatever, man. Montana. Let's call it F it.
Montana's a negative state. They just
it's like a black hole. This is like a black hole on the map. Just make it a square. So it's like, why don't you look at those places and say, let's wipe that and just look at where let's go by vibration. Arkansas, y'all know I love Arkansas, but I love the name Arkansas. Kansas. That's from the Sioux people, from the Sioux River. That's where it got its name, from Kansas. You see, Kansas is in the middle of the country. You know what I mean? But Kansas, like when Dorothy said we ain't in Kansas anymore, she was talking about we're not in Kansas anymore. And then you put that R in front of it, Arkansas. Come on, man, you can't lose.
All them ranches that's in Kansas too, man.
What's that?
Say all them ranches that's in Kansas too. I mean, it just looks open. Like it really looks open.
Only
like,
problem you got in Kansas is them tornadoes. Aside from the tornadoes, you good to go, man. And a little tornado never killed no. Well, you be all right. Just go to the basement. But yeah, right. It's beautiful ranches in Kansas. It's clean. It is so clean. I've been to Kansas a bunch of times. Super clean. Oklahoma's beautiful. These are just places we ain't got no reservations there. We can't go. Because my freedom papers says I can go to Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, Dallas, New York City. My freedom papers only let me go to these places. I can't go to these other. I'm not allowed.
Good. I get it all.
Peace, everyone. Greetings.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom. As you're sharing that, I thought about how it connects to, just the other aspects of our lives, the boundaries that are placed around, and put us in boxes in terms of what you can study, what you can, where you can go, what businesses you could create. Who said only a certain population should have laundromats. I mean, they put us in a box and we kind of slide on in and we stay there. I think it's interesting. I'm not sure why, but and I started to think as you were talking to us, thinking about how I feel like the restrictions, those boundaries, it is, I don't know what makes it like the boundaries harder boundaries when you look at a map, right? Let's say you pull up a Google Maps, you kind of look at the map, it's kind of restricted. Like you say, yeah, I gotta stay here or I have to go here, here, and here. But when you're actually on the land and you're moving around, the boundaries, some places have no boundary line. There are no
Yep.
bars or post to map to market, right? So it's interesting once you leave the maps and the virtual world behind and you actually get on the land, there are no boundaries there, you know?
Or you might find that uh, the map lied.
Mm.
We don't trust nothing else they do, but we trust their maps.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm not that old, but I'm young enough to remember when the maps looked different. I remember when Greenland was huge and then Greenland became really tiny. I'm like, this don't make no sense. Like
Africa was tiny too.
Africa was smaller. And then later, like, well, it's actually the biggest place and Europe is not technically a continent. True. Europe is not technically a continent. So why you drew the map like this?
Mm.
And why you don't want me to go to Greenland? Because when's the last time you seen a rapper shout out Greenland or a basketball player? You know what I'm saying? It's
That's
like
where
they don't let
Draymond Green is from.
right.
He's from Greenland.
Probably. That's why he act like right. We need more of that, man. His psychotic self. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you changing the map around all willy-nilly. I don't know if I could believe you. I remember one time when I drove to the end of Florida for the front of it. And I went through the Keys. I just kept driving. I did this in two places. I did this in Long Island, New York, and I did it in Florida. I might have been in New York, and I had some time, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna drive down south. Like just on a whim. I used to do that all the time when I was younger. And I said, yo, you know what? I'm gonna drive till I can't drive anymore. And I had never been down to the Keys, anything, and I just stayed on 95 and just drove till literally there was water in front of me and I couldn't drive anymore. Okay, so I believe that. I believe that. That slither of map, I believe. I drove it. But I don't believe all of that. I don't believe all of them lines. I don't believe you. You know what I mean? Because we had Moorish navigators who had mapped the continents. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how is it they map the continents and your maps align with their maps? And you have all of this technology. I'm not, something's not right. Something's off. I would think you would be seeing more now with satellites and stuff. Not to say those Moors didn't have satellites, because they probably did, because how else would they map so accurately? Or how the natives said this place was Turtle Island, looked like a turtle. How would they know that unless you saw it, you had an aerial view to see that it was shaped like a turtle.
Yeah.
So I don't trust the maps, to be honest with you. I don't trust the maps and I don't trust the borderlines and I don't trust why, because we don't know why those lines were selected. I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
I was thinking about because my own line is in construction, and he had me work with them a couple of times, like looking at drawings. The architect is rarely accurate like that for a house, for like a building. You're
True.
trying to map out an entire country.
Right.
You're supposed to believe every single line is accurate. But
Good
even
point.
to Sister Maria's point earlier, and what you were just saying about what you can study and what you can't study on the maps or the boundaries that are drawn on your brain or your mind. Like you can go here, or you can think, you're allowed to think about this, or you're allowed to think about that. But if you think about that, you'll lose yourself. If you think about that, you go off the deep end. Or if you can at least even listen to someone explain intelligently where they're coming from, or you must agree with them. It's like, nah, I'm just trying to hear them out. You've been listening to it for more than 5 seconds and you didn't buck back, so you must be on his side. It's like, no, I'm just listening. I'm being objective here. It's like, whatever, man. I don't know. You be on that weird stuff anyway. At least.
Scared to explore the mind. I remember years ago, a good friend of mine, he put me onto one of Baruti's book. I hadn't read it yet, but it was the homosexualization of the African male and Eurocentric dominance. And I might have got the title a little weird, but I remember he read it before I read it, right? So we used to work together. So he came into the spot and he was like, yo, man, this book is deep. Like, he wasn't finished with it yet. He was like, yo, this book it's like, this is a good book. It's really breaking down, So he was like, man, I'm reading this book. And it was me, him, and another brother. We all worked together. We were all, to this day, was, still cool. But he was like, man, I'm reading this. And I'm asking myself, could I holler at y'all like that? And we're like in the break room and he's having this conversation.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, but I'm trying to, I'm trying to be mature about it. So I'm like, like, am I, but I'm just like, but what was so funny, I never forget him saying that and the discomfort that I felt. But then when I read the book, it brought me back to that conversation, and I had the same thought. Like, I'm trying to picture, okay, if I wanted to like a man, like, how would I shape myself? Like, because I don't see anything attractive about men. I don't even like men that like too close to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like beards next to mine. Like, I distinctly know how the men I love in my family, how their beards feel. Like, it's weird. Because I guess for me being a barber, but that's it. Anybody else, keep your beard off me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like men's breath near me. Like, keep your breath up off me, your energy, your aura off. Now, if we fighting or we sparring, that's gonna happen. Whatever, we fight. But I found myself having those same, like, okay, how could I? And I couldn't, and the more I couldn't imagine it, the more I tried to imagine it. Because it's like, yo, that just seemed a man, like another dude, like. And I'm trying to see, like, okay, what would I like? No, not that. No, not like, no, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to empathize with another group of people and like try to understand their perspective a bit. But that's a mind exploration that one would be like, man, don't be thinking about stuff like that. Like, I don't think there's a switch. Like, I'm not gonna worry, I'm good. That switch don't work. They gonna worry about it. The fuse is blown, permanently. But
someone cut the phone line.
Right, exactly. Somebody cut the line to the curiosity land. I'm not curious. So that's the thing. It's like, but that exploration can be very powerful because we all came into our consciousness because of that kind of exploration, even if it made no sense. You watch films like Zeitgeist, or like Alex Jones, and he's crazy, but some of the stuff be right. Some of it, and I think there's like 4 parts to Zeitgeist. They're like 3 hours each. And he's just throwing everything in there, right? This is the Illuminati. This is the Trilateral Commission. This is that, and this is what they're putting in your food. And it's like, damn, like, we all over the place. And then you watch some like David Icke. He ain't really like a big voice anymore, but he used to be the thing. You watch like Credo Mutua and David Icke. David Icke was he was going hard on the reptilians. That's all he spoke about. Then he went to South Africa and got Credo Mutua. And so he got the validation and Credo Mucha, yes, yes, Mr. Ike, I have had those experiences, and I was taken away in a ship, and they made me into a homosexual. Yes. You know, like I know all of it, but they're like 8-hour videos and stuff like that. But
Yo,
you
my
get to a
friend
point
sent me
where
that.
it's like
I got the
some of
hour
it
to
you'd be like, okay, but then some of it you'd be like, man, them dudes was high. But you know, but it opens up your brain in a way where it's like now you can see more colors and dimensions. So you open up for other kind of information that you would have forever been closed to. There's such a great value in exploring alternative thought, especially when you're first coming into consciousness. You know, if it's guided, because you can, yeah, you can be thinking that you're something that you're not, and yeah, you can get lost too. You know,
That makes me think of the Celestine prophecies, like
yeah,
the just the idea of not even beyond the vibrating toward the end, but the experiences that he has throughout the film, right?
but
It's almost like a replica of maybe the journey that we go through, constantly, and then um if you read the book, you'll notice that there were just subtle things that weren't in the film where you hear
yeah,
him start speaking about seeing a difference in the visuals around him, like the natural world actually looking different, and there being
right,
like shifts, and sometimes it looks like it's an oasis, or but it's actually just it's energy feels like he's seeing through. So yeah, it just made me think about that.
yeah. I mean, those things are powerful, especially when it's media, because you put yourself at the center of the experience. You know, I mean, what young person didn't? I could say for boys, you watch something where somebody's fighting, and then when it's over, you jump up from the chair like hiya, like you know, you that's me. I can do that. But even if you go outside, you start seeing things differently. You start everything. Life takes on a different meaning, takes on a different patina. The colors and everything sort of change in that sense. But so the opening of the mind is important. But yeah, there are tracks that you have been given. This is why TikTok is getting shut down, because TikTok is opening up new lanes. So they're not being programmed in the same way that some of these other outlets are being programmed, and you're now opening up new lanes to the mind. That's dangerous for certain people. Yeah.
I want to say currently, right now,
Mm-hmm.
there's like a big intellectual movement towards the idea that we are natives and we was never on those slave ships as we've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we could build on that a little bit, because I remember you saying the other day, like, we were actually enslaved by groups of natives and things of that nature.
Well, that's not really a new movement. You must have just started studying that. That's like old. The more it's been saying that forever, like forever. Yeah, man. That's I mean, the thing is, it's like you got to look at the we. That's always the important. We talking about black people, which is no such thing as,
right?
Or we talking about Afro-Shemitics. So were there black people here that didn't come here from slavery? Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, Ivan Van Sertima's book. Just read "They Came Before Columbus." That gives you you don't need anything else. Like we had some great intellectual elders in our past, man, where they like took certain subjects and was like, yo, I'm gonna house this subject. When I'm done with this, there will be no doubt. Ivan Van Sertima did "They Came Before Columbus," and then he did early African presence in Europe. Right? Or was that Dr. Ben did that book? But between those two books, you read early African presence in Europe, you realize like, okay, we're actually the Europeans. So so that's the first weird thing. It's like, okay, you know, like the original Greeks look like you. Okay, so you got to wrap your head around stuff like that. And this ain't no spooky spirit. These ain't spooky spiritual books. These are history books.
Right.
Then you read They Came Before Columbus. Another one where it's like, okay, well, so we were here a long time before the 1600s and the 1500s. We were here way before they started importing, you know, Africans over to work. You know, so that information been out, man. That's been cracked for a long time now. Now, does it negate the fact that some came over in slave ship? No, not at all. Not at all. You know, it's like to negate that fact would be like negating that there are melanin rich people who have sold drugs to melanin rich people.
Right.
I hate to say it, but treachery is in my blood. Like that's part of what you miss with some of these intellectuals. They never really talk about how we got where we got. They just say, "Oh, it's the white man's fault. The white man did it." Cool, I got you. Oh, but we were the superior group of people. Then how'd they do it? Tell me, this ain't adding up, man. This ain't adding up. We couldn't have been all that flying helicopters and flying saucers and all of that. And we was the original Jedis and all that. And then they was in the cave eating raw meat, and all of a sudden they just came and like, yo, bro, like you cut some of the middle of the book, put them pages back in the book. You know what I'm saying? And then there was Barack Obama. The end. George Floyd. The end. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta understand, like this is why it's important for you to know language, right? Because there's certain concepts sometimes that are spoken about, but you're thinking about those concepts in your modern day paradigm. So you're thinking the concept of black and white people is a new concept. So even when you look online, I used to have them hanging in the house, but you look at you could look online and look up like some of the old like auction posters, you know, for enslaved Africans. The posters never said 4 black men for sale, 4 black or 3 black women for sale. They weren't referred to that because they would have been some quote unquote black people at the time. What the hell are you talking about? You see what I'm saying? Because there wasn't the same identification with color. It's just like now we see that we still get upset because of our programming. You could see somebody who's, you know, Niles color. And you say, hey, brother, what's up, my black brother? I'm not black, I'm Dominican. And then we get upset. You know you black. You know you black. You know what I'm saying? I just told you what I'm Dominican. It's not my fault that you classify yourself by a color and I classify myself by my nationality. That's not my fault. That's your fault for being lost and confused.
Right.
You see? So it's the same thing when we look at something like, oh, well, there were free black people here. Now all the blacks came up. Yeah, but nobody was talking about no blacks. When we talk about the tribes that were here, the native tribes, they were Africans. But did they call themselves Africans? No. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't really know the language, you can get fooled really quickly. You see? So you'll say things like the Black Seminoles. Or here's another fallacious term. Black Hebrew Israelites. Hebrew Israelites are black. So why would you have to say black Hebrew? Why would you have to say black Seminoles? Seminoles are black. It's like saying you black African. Duh. You know what I'm saying? So if you understand like the new classifications, because the language we're using double speak now to get confused. Everybody else identifies by their nation. Italians, Germans, French, Chinese, Russian, and then when us, black. Even if somebody will look at you in your eye and say, I'm from Ghana, I'm Ghanaian, I'm Akan, you're black. So we use that as the blackwash. We blackwash everybody with this term black. So now when we read historical document about who came here, we say, well, black people sold black people in Africa. That's impossible. There were no black people. You see? So yeah, man, it's you got to learn the language.
Right.
And that's when it's valuable when you hear Moors talk about nationality all the time. Listen to them. They're making some good points. Listen to them. When they tell you, no, don't classify yourself as black, they're right. You got to have a nation, they're right. You see? Now, we have a nation. We have a nation that's so prolific that in the 1940s, another group of people just jumped up and said they're the nation. They said, hey, get them now. Get them now while they ain't got no voice. Yeah, but they can't, because of segregation, they can't even get on airplanes. They'll never come over here. So we're going to take this and we're going to say it's us. What could they ever possibly do about it? Who would have known?
We're white.
Who would have known 30 years later, a group from, would have walked across the African continent, Ben Amin and his crew, and showed them, hey, we home, baby. We here. Where you want me to put my stuff down at? We here. Who would have ever foreseen that? Like, yo, they're going to show up here.
We got to go black over here. They back.
The day has come, the day of reckoning. It's the end of days, Papa. It's the end of days that you prophesied. The blacks have returned.
This is not a drill.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, once you learn a language, Jaquez, this gets fun almost. Because once you, well, to me, maybe in a sick, if you got like dark humor, I think my humor is kind of dark.
Right.
Because I know the codes and I know the game, when I see them playing the game, I'll be laughing. I'll be like, really? Oh, good one. That's a good one. Like it's funny to me because it's like I'm watching. It's like watching your team dominate another team, but the other team keeps trying to cheat, and you just laughing because you like it's not gonna work. But it's funny. Go ahead, keep trying. It's funny. That's hilarious. But that's not gonna work, right? You know what I'm saying? Well, let's lock them all up. Everybody come out diesel with glasses. Well, you see, my brother, the thing about eating pork is that, like damn, that didn't even work. He got muscles on top of muscles and he's smart now. You know what I'm saying? And he done connected. He talking Arabic. He was locked up for 12 years. He come out speaking Arabic. Yeah, my brother. The problem was that you eating the pork and the swine and everything. That's why I married my queen over here. Came up. Damn, that didn't work. God damn, we gotta figure something out. You know what I'm saying? It's like ain't nothing working. Right. That's how I look at it. So it's funny to me.
Appreciate that.
It's like
J-Bug.
It was good. Hey yo, it's like when you talk about like learning the language, especially when you have to read and they give their own selected words, especially like now I'm getting to the point where I don't like I said, I put myself in the equation because they try to take you out the equation. You know what I'm talking about? So it's like now I look at nightly orders, like during the Crusades and whatnot. They ain't out to get these sand Puerto Ricans. They were made to get me. What I'm talking about? They were made to get me. The show, and it showed. You know what I'm talking about? But we don't see that. We don't see the language like, oh, you said that word, so I wouldn't, cooperate these people with these over here. That's me. You know what I'm talking about? Like Chief, like I was reading this book, and it was talking about, how they were, selling those Hebrews, and where you was, it was like where you was in Ghana. I didn't even know you. I was like, hold on, ain't that same castle? Hold on, I know that castle. Where I seen that before? He was there. I was like, he was right there. Yeah, that's the same. That's the place they call. That's the place they're talking about. Oh my goodness, it'd be amazing if you don't pay attention to the language, and
The language is everything. I pay attention to the language, the sound of the language, and for me, this may hurt. Y'all don't need this, but for somebody listening who just coming into consciousness, I'm gonna give you my trick that I used to do, like when I was much younger and trying to figure out like where my people were. Again, for anybody on the line right now, they'd be like, whatever, that's nothing. But sometimes the little things, I would look for drums. And I know that sounds crazy, but wherever you see a drum, in particular, a drum with bass notes, your people are there. And I know that sounds, just trust me on this one, because like I used to look at certain, like, again, I would look at certain music in Europe and I'd be like, ain't no damn drum. Where's the drum? I don't even know where's the one? Where's the downbeat? Like, come on, man, where's the beat? But then you listen to Irish music knocks. You know what I'm saying? Like there's drums and Irish music. So then I would start doing research like, well, who are these Irish people? And then come to find out the name comes from Osiris. Oh, because when I was young, like I said, there was a term they would use for them, which was potato eating ninjas, and I never understood the term. I was like, why would they say that? And then you do some research and it's like, oh, that's why they like fighting and drinking all the time. They love to fight. They're Irish. They call it fighting Irish. They love fighting and drinking. Like that sounds familiar. But you if you just look for that drum, I'm telling you, man. It was a freaking Karate Kid back in the days, and I think it was the second Karate Kid. I think it was the second one where Mr. Miyagi, he had the drum, and he was doing it for the rhythm. The little drum, and he was doing it. It was going bop 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 bop, and that's how Daniel knew when they hit his strikes with the drum. I look at stuff like that, and I know it may seem silly, but I promise you, you just follow the drum, and you're gonna see your people. I used to look at the like the New Year festivities in China. They got those big, gigantic drums. Those bass drums, they boom, boom, yeah, they be hitting them. Like, you gotta be strong to hit them things, man. And they hit the drums. Yeah, they hit right back to boom, 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 boom. And it's a whole art in the way they make those drums too. So I'm like, you must be my people. Because you're a slave to rhythm the same way I'm a slave to rhythm. So anywhere I find slaves to rhythm, because babies are slaves to rhythm. Anytime you find slaves to rhythm where that music is used to activate something, you just found your people. If you don't find the drum, I ain't messing with you. I don't want none of your food. I don't want nothing. I'm good. If you ain't got no drum in your culture, I don't really trust you. I don't really trust you. I'll be. But that was my first tool I used to use. I would just look for drums. Whoever got a drum, I'm rocking with you. And you could go anywhere, go to Mexico, wherever, just go anywhere. Natives were so much about the drum, they didn't even put words to their songs. That was crazy. Most of the native tribes, when you hear them going, ay, 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 and you think they really are just going, ay, 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 ay. They're not singing any words, because they believe that if other tribes were nearby who did not speak the language, they would not be able to participate. So they would do their chants and stuff with no words, but just with a sound vibration, because anybody could jump in on a sound vibration.
That's crazy.
Right?
That way of thinking, like to say that we're going to create this chant so that anybody who hears this, they could just jump in. And
they could jump in.
Vibe with us.
Yeah, but what's mumble rap? See what I'm saying? When I first heard mumble rap, and of course, you know my generation, yo, they can't rap, man. You hear me? He put on some Nas, and I'm like, yo, just slow it down. Let's try to figure out what they doing for a second. And the first thing, because I like I mean, I'm gonna say I like the Migos. Whatever, fight me. You know what I mean? I like the Migos. You know what I'm saying? But the first time I heard the Migos, I like them kids, man. Them kids, I like the whole movement. I like the whole image, you know, before, you know, Son got off. But, you know, I like the whole energy of them. But it was like, it's a vibe. And then there's the other dude, is it Juice WRLD? I liked dude XX Tension, dude that got pop. I liked his music. But it's a vibe. So I'm listening to them. I'm like, all right, they ain't really, I don't have to hit rewind on nothing they saying. Like nothing they saying like, oh, it's none of that. But it's a vibe.
Right.
And that takes me back to the native vibration. It's a vibe.
Mm.
You know, you got to know when stuff is being resurrected. It may not look the way you think it's going to look, but it's that.
It's that. It's that.
You know what I'm saying? It's that. You don't think people knew what breakdancing was? When we was over there doing this and that, and then you look on pyramids and you see those same kind of poses. We used to call those moves the King Tuts. That was the King Tut move, you know. And then the Bengals came out. They took vibration away with it. The Bengals came out. There was a group. There was all these girls. It was a girl group, and they came out with a song called "Walk Like an Egyptian." And they were in the video doing this, walk like just taking vibration. You know what I'm saying? What the hell y'all doing? But we was in the streets breakdancing, doing those same kind of moves, but they were moves that you would see on a pyramid wall that we never visited. It was that. And of course, the older people were complaining like, get out the middle of the street, because, you know, be on the sidewalks, but get up, we can't even walk through. You know what I'm saying? It's that coming back. You know, it's that again. So you find that drum, you found your people. It's real simple.
Would that go back to like not having a sense of legacy? You know, because when the youth are coming up with something, you don't, not only do you not recognize what they're coming up with, but you also don't recognize it. They're not coming up with it. It's coming back.
It's coming back, coming through. Yeah, but you know what? It is not having a sense of legacy, but it ain't waiting on you. Right? Because it's like, why didn't you teach the youth that? Oh, you didn't teach them? All right, we'll just give it to them. Right. And the thing is like, we could almost celebrate that, but we got to realize every time the universe gives something to the youth that we don't, the youth sees less use for it. So then when you come and try to speak to them, they're like, yeah, I hear you. Because you didn't do your job. Don't come now criticizing what I had to receive from the universe when I should have got it from you if you were tapped in.
And this thing I receive is sustaining me. I'm getting paid off of this.
I'm getting paid off of it. It's curing my depression. You know, nowadays, like when I was younger, everybody had a rhyme. Like even dudes who couldn't rhyme had a rhyme. So if there was even if they said the same one over and over again. So whenever we used to do rhyme ciphers all the time on the street corners. So it was always somebody would jump, yo, come here, you know, and you better have something to say, even if it's 8 bars. But it was like everybody sat down at some point in study hall when they supposed to be doing their homework and wrote themselves a rhyme. You know, my name is Hakeem. You know, so it's like, all right, come on, Hakeem, it's your turn. You know, but it's like, what did that pull out of people? You know, or even the dress at that time. Yeah, I'm gonna match my socks with my hat, and then I'm gonna take half my hair gonna be faded, and the other half gonna be you know, we used to do stupid stuff, right? But it's pulling out creativity that was necessary. Then there was a time where someone suppressed that. They said, you know what? You're going to wear white Nike Airs and long white tees and regular big baggy jeans. No color. That lasted for a long time. That's that whole Nelly era and all that. That lasted a long time, right? And then Cameron came out wearing a pink fur. And now color, boom. Now the children want color again. Now they're vibrant and colorful again. You see? So these things come forth no matter what. They're not going to wait on you to give them to the youth. The universe has the resources are boundless. But you just realize that now, it's like being raised by the streets. You got some of these youth out here who are raised by the universe because there's no pillars in the community. Now, when you raised by the universe, which is the universe has order, but it's primarily an empty, chaotic void. So the children are going to reflect the chaos. They're raised by the chaos. They're not raised by order. You know.
It's like when, like you was talking about the Irish. It's like when white people used to make fun of black guys that was named Tyrone, not knowing that the name comes from Ireland, and there's a connection. You know what I'm talking about?
It's true. Some of the things we look at, Rock, right? You look at the show Rock. Rockman is a Moorish name. That's an old Moorish name. Most time you don't even know what names are Moorish. Like one trick, here's an easy trick for the Moorish names. Any name with the word Moor in it is a Moorish name. Maurice, like Sonic the Hedgehog. His name is Maurice. Morris, like last name, Morrisville or Moore even. Those are all Moorish names, but Rockman there's a brother by the name of Rockman Dunbar. He's an actor. That's an old Moorish name.
Is that like coming from Rahman, like the Arabic?
Yep, you got it. Rahman, exactly. Yeah. So it's putting the pieces together. I think I did a show one time talking about that. I don't remember the name of the show, but I talked about the Chinese name Li. Because I have Lees in my family. And it was always like, I have two names in my family that were always joked on. I have Chins in my family, Chin. And I have Lee. And yeah, it was just always like, how you get that last name Chin? Like that, but you got to know the connection between the people, But Lee is a cognate of the word L. So Lee was a name that was given to the priesthood class, the Levitical class. So whenever you see someone with the last name Lee, that's royal family.
I think there was a Black Boule where you mentioned the Lees.
It was that one? Okay. Yeah, I didn't remember. I know it was a while ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about there's a pianist, Rachmaninoff. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where that comes from, that Rockman.
That's why you got to know these words. The words, all the secrets are right there. It's just what you're used to associating the terms with. And sometimes I'm going to tell you how much stuff be right in front of us, right? It was just like, this is embarrassing, but maybe 7 months ago that I realized, like, now his music brand is called Now Waves. I didn't really get, like, I didn't. When I saw, because I saw a long time ago, so I was like, oh, waves, like wavy. You know how the kids used to be like, yo, that's wavy? So I thought that's what he was like, oh, wavy. And I did not put the connect. Yo, this is bad. I feel like I shouldn't have brought this up. I didn't make the connection like Nile is water. And yo, and one day I think he put a video and it just hit me, and I was like, oh, now the water waves, Nile waves. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's bad. I'm telling you, it was like real. I'm saying like 7 months, but it might have been like 4 months ago, to be honest with you. Like, or like it was very recent.
Maybe last week. Maybe.
It might. It might.
Yeah, we know you're not too good with time, so it might have been like yesterday.
This is what you see what I'm trying to say, right? It might have been, you know, my hours and minutes, but I was just like, yo, and I remember I was laughing to myself. I was like, how did you not, like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? But sometimes stuff is right in front of you and you just never do that. And that's, I think, some of the most profound things, because if it's right in front of you, they're letting you know how much we have messed with your psychology, that we no longer have to bury things because you are just that messed up. You see? So it becomes profound in that sense.
That
reminds me of the. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say or ask is that a reason why, I guess, youth, even you mentioned earlier that if we don't teach them, the universe will find a way? Is that why they're able to connect? Because it is buried inside there somewhere. So even though your consciousness wasn't able to identify, oh, Nile waves, on some level, your subconsciousness, like I question that sometimes, like, is it our subconsciousness identifies it, knows what it is, and it's kind of like, yeah, I know what it is. So I haven't had like a, what do you call it, like metacognitive thought about it, like sat and really said, okay, this thing means that, but your subconscious has already processed it.
Your subconscious is the only part of you that knows what anything is, as far as occultism and symbolism, because your subconscious only communicates in symbols. It has no other form of communication. That's why your dreams are as crazy as they are. You see, because that's your subconscious speaking. So that's the power of a symbol, because we always know what it is. We look at Teddy Pendergrass, we know that's Osiris. It's just that we don't want to say it. When we look at someone like a Rick James, and then we see he dies, and then Tina Marie dies right behind him, we know why, we just don't want to say it. Like, these were two deities. This was Osiris, and this was, because you have three different Isis. This was white Isis. You have white Isis, green Isis, and blue Isis, or Set. Yeah, see, they don't teach you that part, so you can't put it together.
You know that.
You see, or you look at R. Kelly, and you don't realize that R. Kelly, DMX, Teddy Pendergrass, and Rick James were all a part of the same priesthood. So when DMX says, my name is Dark Man X, what is X? That's the underworld, Dark Man. Why R. Kelly always had sunglasses on? Why was he doing all of that, like, dark energy stuff? Everybody got a dark side. Listen, man, if you were that disgusted, you wouldn't play his music anymore. There's a part of you that's like, you lucky son of a bitch. No, but we all have. I want to pick on somebody, but so I think we all have that dark side. I'm just saying,
It's
so
funny.
there's
They play music at barbecues and family gatherings.
They don't play it, man. It's good music. It's good music, and I mean, hell, man, a lot of people was out there. It's still going.
There's like, cut him off.
Some sound. I'm hearing sound. There we go. I'm back. Got sound, but no picture.
You're frozen though.
I'm frozen. Okay. So let me come out and come back in there.
I don't play his music though. I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. I kind of skip by that stuff.
I never listen to. I'm not an R&B person, so I never got on the R. Kelly thing. But he was so big that if I hear one of his songs, I would recognize it because people always play it.
Man, if you on the outs at the family cookout, your options get limited sometimes. Your options get a little limited. You might have to step in the name of love 1 or 2 times, This shit was still.
You doing that dance?
Yeah, it'd be like, Dawn, I done went through eyes, let them, You know, and I'm young, so my you know, what I can pull from be a little limited. So I just have to, we stepping in the name of love now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's just like, you know. And by me being from up here, you know, it just, man, I remember stories like my mom used to tell me, man, I used to see him he was homeless. He used to always be at the dang on trains and just singing for change. He'd be like, look at him now. He'd be like, for real? It'd be wild, man.
Man, I got type.
It's crazy.
Oh, what'd you say?
I was saying he was homeless.
Yeah, that's what my mama told me. I don't know. She just said we used to see him all the time at the train station. He was homeless and he was just singing for chains at the train station, you know, downtown. Mm-hmm.
You know, some people think that they got to take on that mentality in order to get to where they need to be. I met he was an artist, and he was saying how in order to do anything great, you have to go through some sort of hardship. And he was homeless, and he was like, you have to go through that kind of stuff in order to succeed, in a sense. Y'all ever heard anything like that?
I've heard it. I've seen Miles Davis. Miles Davis, the musician. He was saying something similar because there's this lady from Juilliard saying something like, I don't know, black people play the blues because there's a lot of suffering. But he was like, I could play music just fine. My father was rich. I grew up rich. I never had to worry about wanting for nothing when I came up. That didn't affect my
middle class boy from Missouri. Weird.
Man, how I leave and come back and Jason still ain't get to speak. What y'all do?
He left. But I just noticed he left.
It's messed up. Y'all chased him off.
Come back, Jason. We miss you.
It's okay. I know what he wanted to ask.
Yeah. So,
Let him do it. Come back. Come back.
Well, we're gonna close out soon, man. But yeah, man, this is all. Oh, Chris is it. Ethiopia has the same. Okay, I should have been over here in the chat, messing around with y'all.
Yeah, the same.
Ethiopia has the same jig and shoulder dance. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but they got the drum. Yeah. But I mean, sometimes look at the Ethiopian dance. I'm like, how you know who's the best dancer though?
Right.
Like, I can judge it. Like, you know, yeah, that's a
they might
sexy
hit you
show.
with one of these if you ask them. It's just, how you know who's the best dancer?
Yeah, I always got confused with that. But yeah, man. So yeah, everybody has that dark energy, man, and there's things that get birth. But I just wanted to say, you know, before we go to, like, I don't know if it was Zach or Niall said, man, sometimes people are born with those things deep down. We are the manifestation of what is deep down. So it's not, it was Moreno was talking about the symbols, like it's deep down in the subconscious. We are symbols. So everything is not always something that has to be uncovered. Or if it is uncovered, who covered it? Sometimes we're covering it. So it's like, that's why I said your elevation comes through your sacrifice. The more you strip away, the higher you go, because you already came as a clear symbol of what is. And there is a subconscious or a subliminal sort of perception that happens. That's what I said. Like, you look at certain people, you know, oh, I know what that is. You look at Superman, you know, you like, oh, okay, that's God. That's God. I got it. You know, or that's Jesus. You know, his father's God, his father. Yeah, okay, I get it. Oh, he's me. Oh, he's me. I get it. Oh, Superman is me, because Superman is supposed to have blonde hair. Come on. You create the strongest European man in the universe, and you give him black hair. Yeah, I see. I was like, you know. You look at Batman. Oh, I'm not supposed to know that's Osiris. Come on, man. Lord, he's the Lord of the underworld. Come on, man. You know what I mean? I know what this is. You can't fool me, Jack. You know,
You
so
was
that's the
calling
thing.
the
It's
Dark
like,
Knight for nothing.
right, exactly. I'm the Dark Knight, Dark Man X, a lot of whole lot of darkness falling. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, subconsciously, I know what all this is, but it's not that these things are occurring and then my subconscious is recognizing them. They're put in front of me because my subconscious recognizes it. It's like when I was teaching y'all the lesson on sigils. I don't know what show that was. It's down in there somewhere. And I brought up the example of Louis Vuitton and how Louis Vuitton sigil LB is also the sigil for love. So when you see the LB, subconsciously you think love. Like, oh yeah, I want this. I should have this. You know, if you try to name a company GD anything, you know, it's almost an impossible name to get when you look up. Like if you try to incorporate a company, so many people have grabbed GD already because they know if your name, if it could be good dentistry, right? What's your initials going to be? GD. GD is the sigil for God. So subconsciously, you'll see GD, you'll think God, oh, that's good. I want that. You know, it's like you see Louis Vuitton, LB, love. I want that. You know, so it's not so much that these things are just occurring randomly and society and nature and the subconscious is like, ooh, people already know how your subconscious works and they manipulate you through your subconscious. You know, so that's why everything is about being able to see with your first eye vision, because your first eye vision allows you to utilize the subconscious while you're still awake. You know, imagine having a dream experience while you're awake. Obviously, it'd be extremely frightening, but you know, it's like not only can I see things, but I can transform myself into what I need. You in a dream experience, like all of a sudden I was floating and I was looking over the city. Well, what if you just doing that while you walking down the street and then you start seeing yourself overhead and have an out of body experience? Because now you're seeing with the first eye vision. So you start to see, oh, this is why the buildings are shaped like this. And the city spells out this lettering. You know, why is a baseball diamond the same shape of a Masonic symbol? Huh. Okay. You know, so you start seeing like you didn't make the baseball feel like that accidentally. You know, why is the baseball hat so popular? You know, everybody wears the baseball hat. You know, yeah, exactly. It's coming together. You know, there's a science to that brim and the shape of that brim. There's a science that no different than the science that there is in when you graduate and you have the tassel. Look at the hat that you wear for graduation from up top. See the shape you see. You see, all of these things mean something, but they're given to you because they know your subconscious. We're sending signals to you through your subconscious. This is why you could go to your average Christian and say, you know, the Jesus that you believe exists never existed, and I could prove it to you. And you could prove it to him within 3 minutes. Is it going to make any difference? No. Because they're not programmed by the external Jesus that you thinking. They're programmed by the subconscious symbols and programming that we're put into it. That's what you have to deal with. You say right now, hey, pull out a dollar bill. See all these symbols on your money? It's occultism and whatever. Yeah, man, that's deep. That's deep. I'm gonna go buy me a soda. You want something to drink? Go give me a cherry pop. You know what I'm saying? So it's the subconscious thing that you have to attack first, man. Because what's put in front of you is put in front of you intentionally. I promise you. You know. And your cartoons and your everything, man. Yeah. Jar Jar Binks. Stuff that you think is so innocent. And if you can step back and look for Sesame Street, who has the idea to make a show? I'm with the puppets and all that. I'm with that. Why are they monsters?
noticed that.
They're all supposed to be monsters.
Big Bird.
Fraggle Rock.
Right. Fraggle Rock. That's another one. The junk keep and all that. But yeah, you got Big Bird, who, you know, and you got Mr. Snuffleupagus, who's always, you know what I'm saying? Got the big eyelashes and hey,
No
Big
ears.
Bird.
Giant elephant with no ears.
A woolly mammoth. What? And then the rest of them, Bert and Ernie, we find out later they're supposed to be Dominican, but they're Dominican monsters. Oscar the Grouch is a monster. Cookie, monster.
Yeah.
So why would you make a show where all of your characters are monsters and then all of your reoccurring characters are adults? But this supposed to be a kid. Shouldn't the children be the reoccurring? You got new children on there every week, but the reoccurring characters are adults and then everybody else is monsters. That's a nightmare.
Mhm.
Then you say Sesame. Well, why did magicians, you say open sesame?
Hmm.
Because the sesame was an ancient reference in occultism to the vagina.
So this is like Vagina Avenue.
Basically.
Sesame. Oh.
Vagina Street.
Say how to get
To Vagina Street.
And then
Wow. Crazy.
they gonna clip this up with the R. Kelly talk earlier.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, yo, that dude is crazy. That dude, he's psychotic. He got them all under a spell. They all crazy. A bunch of freaks, you know.
This is the greatest hits episode.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like you're think. So now, if I say this to you, it's a reach. You can easily look this stuff up. It ain't no secret. You can look it up. But it's a reach if I say it, right? Even the count. Why would you make a vampire the one who's charged of the numbers? That's the main thing. I'm a child watching. The main thing I need is to learn how to count. I need to learn my numbers. And you put a vampire as the one who's going to teach me numbers? What are you trying to do here? Because all of this has a subconscious triggering within my psyche. Every last bit of it. Right? So yeah, you're being spoken to only through your subconscious. Nobody cares about your conscious one. Is easy to trick and fool. That's easy. It's the subconscious programming that's the one. That's why you could look at a commercial or advertisement and start breaking it down. But they're advertising, life insurance. They show a European family, and then they show a black woman with children.
Or it's mixed race.
Right. Or that. Right. So it's subconscious what's being communicated to, because your conscious mind is just being told, buy this insurance. You see.
It's interesting about Sesame Street too. Like, there were no representations of mother, father. Like, that wasn't even in there. Or whole family.
Bunch of random adults hanging out with children.
Yeah.
Never liked Sesame Street. Never liked it.
Well, it's probably a different era. What was it? Yeah, Rugrats, something like that.
Yeah, we had Sesame Street, but I was real young when I think it was Out the Door, when it was going out the door.
I remember Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. I'm telling you, go back and watch all that stuff. And see, when I was real young, I used to go in the ashtray after when the adults left and get stuff that I shouldn't have been putting my lips on and lighting up. Right? But mind you, my thing used to be, I used to like to watch, I'm talking about younger than I like to tell y'all. Y'all would be like, but I used to like to watch cartoons while my, brain was. But I'm telling you, you watch those cartoons when you're in that other space and the stuff you see. So this is what I used to do. One of my older brothers, all his friends, they was all stoners. So one day he comes in, he was like, "Yo, let me tell you what you do, little man." He was like,
That's never good advice.
right, you know something bad is about to happen. You already know. You know, he was like, "You need." Damn, man, this is bad. You know, now that I'm an adult and I'm hearing it back, I'm like, this is bad. He was like, "Yo, you need to get high and watch these cartoons with the sound off." I was like, really? He was like, "It'll blow your mind."
That's some real high advice.
Yeah. And I'm like elementary school. Like I'm, you know what I'm saying? This ain't like I'm young. So I'm like, all right, sure, that's what the big kids do. But I tell you, you do see stuff. You know, you do see stuff, and that is what started me on my journey of breaking down like movies and TV shows and stuff. You know, I mean, I stopped doing that. I don't, smoke any, but I would go back and watch things like He-Man, and he's sitting there with the Celtic cross on his chest. I'm like, yo, why you got the Celtic cross on his chest? That's interesting. Then he's like, by the power of Grayskull. Grayskull, that's ancestors. You know, and you look at it and you're like, this is deep, man. Here's some ancestral stuff. And then the sorceress is in the castle, but she's really Ma'at, but you see this because the sound that's on in the music is distracting your conscious mind. It's the images and the symbols that are talking to your subconscious mind. Please don't do this, y'all, whoever's listening, because it sounds like a good formula. But if you know what I'm saying?
Try it without the weed.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But if you turn the sound off and you're just looking at the symbols and you put yourself in a meditative state, you will see more because you're not being purposely distracted by sound and voices. You're just now tuned into the symbols that are being thrown at you.
Yeah, like why the sorceress had like a Heru headdress and wings, like an Egyptian.
Right. Exactly. She was all comedic, couldn't leave the castle, Then she would turn into a bird.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to notice it. Lock in. We know where you at. Well, yeah, but remember then there was the counter cartoon that came out was She-Ra.
Right.
Ra. She-Ra. But remember her main antagonist was Marduk. Go back to your Sumerian tale. Marduk. You see what I'm saying? Like they didn't just like, oh, what's a good name we could come up with? Marduk. Like that's not a name that you would say. You went back to the Sumerian tales for this cartoon. You see,
it's like a cartoon show I used to watch, called The Mummy's Alive.
Mummy's Alive, right? I remember that one.
And you can tell. All right, you got this kid called Ramses, and you got these three comedic. You can tell, even though they got gray skin, you know who they are. I was like, they black. They melanated.
The symbols are shouting at you. I remember when they were advocating to take the Power Rangers off the air because you got all of these different monsters, demons really, who used to rise up from the ground, like rise out of hell, and they would have to fight them. Like, yeah, it was that. It was what y'all think it was. Dungeons and Dragons. This was all like satanic cartoon. Turn the volume off and just watch and see how scary it gets all of a sudden.
Around my era, there was Pokémon. They was buying in a lot.
They were all demons.
Yeah, the shortened form. I mean, the long form of his Pocket Monsters.
I remember Pocket Monsters.
It's just a bunch of demons you can summon.
Right, you would summon these different demons.
You summon them. And
Now
it's
you
not as
assume that those demons you're summoning, some creative person in the arts department just came up with them.
Mhm.
Nobody's
They
that
don't.
creative. They're
Mhm.
like, yo, let's go through the scrolls. Oh, this is an interesting one. You know, we'll make a demon out of this one. You know, Dungeons and Dragons had the dragon Tiamat, and it actually got taken off the air because the last episode, they had Tiamat and they had Venger, and they were trying to just the Venger was basically Satan, but Satan Venger, it was kind of hinted at one of the shows. The Dungeon Master, who was like God, was probably Venger's father. God was Satan's father, and they had this dragon Tiamat, who everybody was afraid of.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's the Sumerian story, and they took it off the air because the last episode, well, the one when they canceled it, they were trying to decide if they should kill Venger, and they were like, maybe if we just kill them, all of our problems will go away. But you can't talk about killing like in a kid's cartoon. But that's where it was like, yeah, this ain't really for children, or it is, but you get what I'm saying.
Was
But
it
yeah, man,
killing or who they
ultimately,
was planning to kill?
what's that?
Was it because of the killing or who they were planning to kill?
Right. But that's kind of my implication. Right. You can't kill Satan because
Right.
everything was fine with the cartoon into that point, you know. So, and then that's when Saturday cartoons changed, and you had like My Pretty Pony and Care Bears and all that. They took out all the rough cartoons and went that direction because there was too many complaints. Because back in the 70s and 80s, all the cartoons were occultic. They all were occultic. Even like The Hobbit. That's all occult stuff, you know. But yeah, so ultimately all I'm just saying is that subconscious symbols are put there purposely for you to communicate with or to communicate with you. And your conscious mind is a very weak sort of security guard. It can't hold them back. It cannot hold back those symbols. So the way you have to learn to speak the language of the symbols in order to defend yourself from them. If you see a symbol of Satan or 666, do you know what to do? Do you know what the response is? You know, or you see Tiamat the dragon. Now that you know who Tiamat is, you'll have a different response. You know.
So should we be doing things like let's say putting symbols of our culture around us in order to kind of offset that?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say to offset it. I would just say you should just do that. Like,
Yeah.
but you should put symbols of your culture that activate your higher self. And this is where you get into shrine and altar. Because what activates you doesn't activate me. You know, and so when you start to learn yourself, you learn what takes you there. You know, like I was telling someone earlier today, whenever I light incense, it takes me to my father had this thing where whenever company would come over, he would always light a stick of incense, like every time. So whenever I light a stick of incense, it makes me think about how my father would accommodate, like he would prepare the space for guests. So it makes me feel like I'm prepared. So even if I'm doing something spiritual, I light incense, I feel like it takes me back to that scene of him preparing the space for guests. That may not do that for anybody else because you don't have that memory genetically or experientially. So you have to look at the things that take you to your higher space, you know, and it's always very advantageous not only to combat those symbols, but to, I would say, in your home space, to deactivate the poison inside of your home. Unless you built your home is probably full of poison. You know, and that's from the shape of your rooms, where they are facing the sun or not facing the sun, the shape of your doors, possibly even the energetic flow of your whole space based on the feng shui. of your space. The feng shui might be completely off. You might have to do something. You might need to get rid of the corners in your room. I don't like corners myself. You know, that's I think one of the coolest things about the chalets in Ghana. There's no corners really, except for the bathrooms, right? Yeah. So corners are where energy builds. So it's always good to round out your corners. You know, even if you just take like some copper, or you could take a piece of fabric and like, you know, put it across the corner so it looks like, if it's a studio, that's where you put your, you know, your sound baffles for your bass absorbers, you know, but it removes the corners, which is important. You know, so your symbols may not just be like, okay, for what's outside of here, but maybe this whole construct ain't right, and I need to address it. You know, and it probably ain't, unless any of you are sitting in houses that you designed yourself based on your own symbols and principles. You probably sitting in a death trap. Yeah.
No, I used to put copper pennies in the corners of every room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know who you got that from. I remember when I did that show. I'm thinking I forgot my own stuff that I come on, man. How old do you think I am? I can remember stuff. I remember when I taught y'all that. Knock it off. Like, yeah, you know, you try to test me. Let's see if I remember. Yeah. With the copper pen, that's how you kill the corners, and you energize the energy of the corners in your house. Even putting bowls of water is very powerful because it absorbs energy. You put that in the corner, but you got to empty out the water. You know, especially if there's an argument in the house. Let the water soak it up. Throw the water out. Don't have no cracked windows. No cracked windows. No ripped screens. Because that's the perspective that you see out the world through.
And broken things, right? Like having
broken things gotta go.
Things have to be.
Yeah. Either you repair them or you get rid of them. Mm-hmm.
What about kind of like, I just was curious about this, like just all my life. Like I always close things. The shower curtains, I close it. Closet, close it. Like everything, like when doors are open, I just immediately start shutting things, and I never knew why. Or it's like, well, Smiley, you probably know that I just go around, it's like, close. I start closing stuff when it's open. Something about it just doesn't seem right.
Well, Maria leaves stuff open a lot, so that's probably why you close it. The only thing about Maria is she likes to leave lights on. Look at her. She ain't even smiling because I just called out. Look at that comfortable smile. She loves to leave them lights on and leave them doors open. That's right. We got money. We done arrived. But yeah, man, it could be different reasons. A lot of times, a person will constantly always want to close things behind them because they have a lot of anxiety. You know, so if there's things that you haven't faced, it's like you just want to hurry up and put it behind you and kind of forget it and erase it from your your reality. So it could be that, you know, pretty often. Or sometimes it's that desire to want to put everything in its own compartment. You know, sometimes it's a sense of that. But again, it could be happening for multiple reasons. You know, sometimes it's a person feels overwhelmed, you know, or you're very sensitive to energy, right? So it's like, I can feel the cereal talking to me, you know. You know, but sometimes that's what it is. It's like, shut up. Shut your mouth. But sometimes that's what it is. It's like you can feel the energy coming from different places, you know, especially if in certain places there have been things that have been ritualized, but the rituals have not been closed out properly. You know, there are rituals that can happen in the bathroom, especially for a woman who is still bleeding. there's a lot of bodies, you know what I mean, in there, so you have those kind of situations. And cabinets, what kind of energy is on the food? You got the food from the supermarket. What was they talking about? What was they doing? You bring all that home, right? I give you a simple one. How many people clean everything as soon as they bring them into the house? I know you do, Murray. Put your hand down. I know you. I already knew. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Even with if I buy like new shirts or something like that, I gotta wash them.
Gotta wash them.
Like the package.
Right.
With fruits,
What about
it's not
canned
even
goods?
just canned
Man, we
goods. I
popping
don't buy
tags
that
over
much.
here,
Yeah.
baby. Everybody wants to put that joint on.
Right.
You kind of gotta watch them. They be dusty.
It's good.
Man.
They still got
the new smell to it too, man. Throw that joint on, walk up on that.
They still got the crease in it from when they folded it, put it in the package. It's been sitting on the shelf for 2 years.
Still got the oil stain around the collar from when the dude bought it and then brought it back after he wore it to the concert. And then brought it back. I didn't wear it.
Folded it and repackaged it.
Put it right back. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't even spray it down with no Lysol. But even things like canned goods, right? Who cleans their canned goods before they put them in their cabinet?
I don't know about canned goods. I never.
Canned goods, bags of rice. Think about the journey that food goes through.
I try to think of it as like dollar bills. Like how many strippers' booties has this been in before it reached my ass? I try to think of it like that.
That's an excellent way to look at it. Sure. It's real. I mean,
he might have stocked the shelf after his lunch break at the strip club. You don't know.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, we don't even get into the amount of rats that are in these warehouses and factories. Think about how many times have you seen people go to a store, buy a soda, and just pop it and then drink it?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I used to work in a bunch of storage places. We use those to stand on to get to high places.
I've seen people do that. I've seen people in the supermarket do that. Stand on the can.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
They solid. They ain't going nowhere.
Right. You see? And then you come in, right? So now let's say if you're a person who's sensitive to energy, you might buy that stuff, put it in your cabinet. Exactly. Like, man, I'm all like, I can feel the worms. I got worms. I can feel them moving in my body.
Those cans have urine on them. You talk about rat urine is deadly. Poisonous.
Roaches get everywhere.
Roaches, right. But it was so hot outside. I just wanted a cold.
I used the straw. So I used the straw. So it's all good. I used the straw.
You use the straw, right? But on top of that lid, it's still bacteria. Yeah. Or you do stuff like this. You bring fruit home. You cut the fruit. The knife is contaminated with whatever was on the skin of that fruit. So I cut the watermelon, and then I scrape out the red part of the watermelon with the same knife.
You gotta wash the watermelon. Oh, well, you cut it.
I'm hip. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying. It's like, so you might be sensitive. This is all in the answer to your question. You might be sensitive to all that vibration. So you go in the kitchen, as a cabinet open, and you feel all of this errant energy because you haven't neutralized the things that you brought from outside in. You see, so everything is still humming.
All right, Murray, I'm gonna be like you now. See how that works.
Yeah, my aunt always, Yafe says I'm like that with bathroom doors. My aunt always told me that is where Shaitan likes to dwell. Yeah, so Muslims understand, like, even the way houses are configured, the bathroom has to be in a certain space. I had a house years ago where I had a bathroom off the kitchen. Just craziness, right? But I was young. I didn't know, like, you don't buy a bathroom off the kitchen. And I remember, like, because, like, Muslims and Hebrews will not buy a house with a bathroom like that. but I got a good deal. And no, you know, because I remember the broker saying to me something about a Jewish. He's like, yeah, I showed this to a Jewish couple, and they said no, and I'm like, well, they lost, you know, because I didn't even like, you know, but yeah, there is ideas around that because the pipes, you know, is where things are flushed and moved out of the house. So, you know, having the bathroom in certain spaces is more auspicious, you know, because that's where things are removed, like evil is removed out of the house and flushed. That's why even in some systems like Division 21 and even in Lukumi, they will put their bovedas in the bathroom. Usually the ancestral altars go into the bathroom, you know. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there, because y'all ain't doing none of that. So yeah, man. All right, so we're gonna close out, man, with on the witchcraft note. But yeah, just so y'all know, man, clean your stuff when you bring it in the house. You know, clean your stuff, man. When you take your sneakers off, there's nothing wrong with keeping a bottle of disinfectant near the front door. You could turn them over real quick, just spray them, and put them back. You know, you'd be surprised what's outside. You know, and sometimes it's not just bacterial, but it's spiritual. And some people more sensitive to it. But I also advise, and I did a segment on feng shui. I don't remember, but I advise everyone, man. Yeah, you remember that? I don't think it's on YouTube.
I think it was one of the Masterminds Monday segments.
Could have been. Yeah, that sounds about right. That was a long time ago when I did it. But I advise everyone to organize your home based on energy. Like, don't just be slapping stuff where you think it look cool, you know, and be very sensitive to colors that you use per area, you know, because that affects your sleep and everything, man. It affects your sleep. You know, start with your bedroom. Your bedroom is your most important, you know, from the placement of your bed. Some people, they'll do things, they'll put their bed under a window. You will never sleep right if your head is under a window, you know. Or you can't see the door, your bedroom door from your bed. You're not gonna sleep right. Look a minute, like looking around.
I'm looking at the window. It's like, my bad what's the statute of limitations on the distance from the bedroom? Because I couldn't sleep last night, and I did recently move the bed.
Yeah, there you go. You know, always a good rule of thumbs with energy. With energy, think of energy like water. It's the same way we like acoustically treat rooms. We think of sound like water, but you could do it the same thing with spiritual vibration. So if there was a flood that came in through your front door, where would it flow? Right? So theoretically, you would want the water to flow from your front door out to the back of your home. That's how you want your mind thinking, with no obstacles. So let's say, for instance, right by your front door, you got a table. That's no good, right? Because that's blocking the energy. Or another thing, let's say you have, I don't know, you got a square dining room table, and it's facing the front door. So as soon as you walk in your home, you got something pointy looking in your face. It's like a weapon as soon as you walk in. No good. Is your dining room table glass? No good. When you're eating your food, you shouldn't be distracted by what's underneath the table. You know, so these sort of things, they're basic things. I spoke about some of them, but the first rule of thumb, just look at how energy, if your room got flooded with water, where would the water go? Would it be able to exit, or are there certain parts of your room where you could see the water would get stuck and build up? That's where energy is building up in your room. And you can look at the physicality. Do certain corners have more dust than others? That's where you have an energy buildup. You know.
I'm looking around at the strike too.
Yeah, I need to clean it. Like, I don't own a duster.
What you
But yeah,
said about the room
mhm.
made me think about the presence of mirrors as well too, like being
Yeah,
cognizant of where mirrors are placed and not placing them in bedrooms, and
no, never.
those negative arrows, those arrows you talk about being in the room, like having sharp pointed
Exactly.
objects.
So all you got to do, Zach, is you put a piece of fabric over the mirror in the bedroom. I already know, brother. I was where you at. I was there. I know. And when she comes over, you just take the fabric off, have your fun, and then put the fabric back over. See, Chief went through that, so you wouldn't have to go through that.
Make new mistakes, brother.
Right. Don't put the mirror on the ceiling.
What do you do when you got your lemon pepper steppers on, man? How you know that everything is fresh when you ready to go? What you doing?
Well, I don't know, because I won't be looking. I'll let the public tell me. Am I fresh or am I fresh? You know what I'm saying? I don't really be looking at myself like that. But it don't need to be in the bedroom. One of the best places is in your foyer. If you really want to set up mirrors, your foyer is good, but the way you want it set up is you want it set up so that it reflects. Like, let's say if you got a picture of something in your foyer, and that picture is something you really want. I don't know, whatever it is. You would want your mirror facing that picture, because mirrors magnify energy, right? You could put a mirror in your living room too, if you feel that the mirror will magnify the good times that's happening in the living room. Let's say, for instance, but you don't want a mirror facing your front door. That's one thing. So there's ways to position mirrors, but one of the best ways is just have that mirror point at something you want. Your mirror should never point into your kitchen, But if there's like a family room, or if you got even a portrait, a picture, could be your family or something. Like, this is a good picture of us. You can angle the mirror towards that picture. Sure. I mean, we could maybe do a feng shui part 2, maybe. Yeah. Because everything should be feng shui, even your car. Everything should be organized for energy, And I think on that segment, I even talked about women organizing their purses based on feng shui. How many of y'all, every time you got to go look for something, you got to dump the whole purse out? That's indicative of a deeper problem, But everything should be organized by color and vibration and by the flow of energy, Everything. All right.
Midday affirmation on that.
What's that?
Oh, Sister Yafe put it in the chat. So there's a midday affirmation on that. What's in your bag?
Yeah, there sure is one. What's in your bag? Yeah, that's right. Yafe did it. I don't know if it's any good, so y'all check it out. Y'all leave reviews. Yeah, leave some reviews. Yeah, man. But yeah, and I saw I once invited a home after a Korean family moved out. I would find pennies everywhere. Yes, because the pennies the purpose of the pennies everywhere was just for the copper. It was to attract wealth. Certain rooms in your home, you want a lot of metal. Not all rooms. Certain. Yeah, I might have to do the show again for y'all. Certain rooms you want a lot of metal. Certain rooms you want a lot of wood. Before you even get into colors. And in some rooms you want like glass or like water, things like that. And you will feel the difference. You will. I mean, people do basic feng shui all the time. When you move your furniture all around, you be like, it just feels better in here. All right, you probably did it. That's probably it. But it's important. I'll tell you that it is important. All right, man, we're gonna close it out because this was stupid long. Yeah, man. Like, damn, it's back to back, man. These marathons. Yeah, I feel like Lou Rawls. It's
We
4
did 3
hours.
lives tonight, like 3-4 lives.
Yeah, it is true because we were off and on a lot. You know what I mean? But this was fun, man. This was good, man. And I will that everyone definitely got some good vibes, good energy. Some of y'all are probably just laying in bed, relaxing and listening, which is cool too, man. You know, if we can kind of wash that energy from you. Jaquez, did you want to close out with anything?
I was recently looking at the Our New Way, and it was something that I was reflecting on when it was talking about Manu.
Mhm.
And that was something I wanted to jump in when we were talking about just the frequencies of the world and, you know, what's going on in the world. And when it was speaking about that flood and, you know, being Anu representing those whose job isn't to necessarily save everyone, but to give warning and stay out of the flood. Make sure you don't get caught in that flood. So, yeah, that's something I wanted to throw out there.
For sure. I mean, that's a good one, man. The flood is ignorance. If anybody's wondering, it's not just that there's waters coming. When you see in a lot of mythology references to flood water, it's talking about a time when the earth is saturated with ignorance. And then what has to come from that ignorance, hopefully, is like a new intelligence. So like when you see stories about Atlantis and Lemuria, and they tell you, oh, these were islands that were once, and I mean, this is mythology. This is Zachariah Stitchin, just channeling. But this was an island, and then there was a time when it was submerged underwater. That talks about a time when society was at a high place intellectually, and in ignorance, or what we call the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga came and took over, and everybody was submerged in ignorance. And then from that ignorance, then a brilliant mind may arise again. And then the cycle will be repeated all over again. So, you know, when you see the ignorance in society in the world today, you might be like, you fighting upstream. Like, we got to stop this. We got to stop. No, it's an error. You need to not drown. That's what you need to not do. You just keep doggy paddling or whatever you is. But, you know, your ability to stay above the water is your ability to war against emotions. So whenever there's a deluge of ignorance, the world is ruled by emotions and feelings. You know, that's why when we talk about it, Ifa, we talk about Olokun and how Olokun is chained to the bottom of the earth. But if he's ever released, you know, he's very emotional. He's angry. When he's released, he floods everything. He destroys everything if he comes onto the land, you know. And your other cultures, that would be Poseidon. Or in the Bible, it talks about the hell mouth and the Leviathan. You see, that's the deluge of emotions and ignorance. You know, and sometimes people will get you caught up in that. You'll be trying to have a logical, intellectual conversation, and they coming at you with a lot of hostility and ignorance. And next thing you know, you being ignorant, you drowning.
Right.
You see,
that's a nigga moment.
Right, exactly. You're like, well, if you want to do it, you ripping, let's do it. You know, you ripping your shirt off and stuff. You know, like now you're drowning in the waters as opposed to remaining like that island. Because when you think about an ocean of water and a single island in it, like Atlantis, that island represents the pineal. The waters represent the clouds of the brain of illusion, right? Just like you look at the water and it looks like it's blue, but it ain't blue. Water's clear, it's not blue. So it's illusion, right? And then there's a solid thing that rises, that island, that one island that rises. That's you standing on the intelligence of the pineal. And you have to stay there until the waters recede, and then you can walk the earth again. So yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, man. Yeah, for sure. That's for anybody who's wondering about the water and the flood and all that and everything like that, and the 3 fish and Jesus. And, you know. Partridge in the pear tree. You know what I mean? Yeah, we on it. Yeah, man. But yeah, man, I would thank everybody for coming through. This is beautiful. And you know, special shout out to the House of Our New Sisters, for shutting down the live stream 3 times. You know what I'm saying? That's the power of the feminine. That's the feminine, brother. So
Sesame Street.
right, that's that Sesame. Open Sesame. Sesame. But yeah, man, all them terms, abracadabra, sesame, you gotta look up those terms. They all mean something. But yeah, man, we will definitely be back when 12 noon Eastern. Where I'm gonna get back into the polygamy piece. So I know how y'all feel about it because the numbers don't lie. So me and the 5 people. Yeah, hey man, I ain't feeling that polygamy. Yeah, so it's not the dangers of polygamy part 2. It is polygamy. It's polygamy. It's polygamy. Something I can't remember what title. Polygamy from polygamist or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, more poly. So yeah, we'll definitely be back 12 noon, man. Be prepared for that. It's gonna be a good one. And for this one, I really encourage you men to tune in. Sisters too, but I'm gonna be focused at noon. I'm gonna be focused a bit more on like tips, tricks. Maybe not so much tricks. Ain't no tricking going on over here. You know what I'm saying? But so, you know what I mean? You want to play, you got to pay. But so the thing is more so tips and fun facts. So I think it'll be good because sometimes there's nuanced things that are not a part of the regular structure. Like, well, you got to do this, then you got to do this, then you got to do that. Sometimes there's things that come up that you wouldn't really see or understand unless you were in it. And because I have a lot of years of being poly successfully, not all those years were successful, but I have had a very good run, well over a decade. I mean, I don't know, but a long time of peace and success. There are some things that I have learned, and there's some things that I just didn't expect, and sometimes it's the small micro things, the microbacteria that will destroy your whole organism because you overlook it, you don't realize. So tomorrow I wanted to speak about, like some of the nuance, some of the things that you can only learn from someone who's in it, that goes beyond the theory and stuff like that, man. So I think it'd be great, man. I think it'd be kind of fun. And it's gonna be one of those ones where it'd be like, oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, that's a good one. Kind of to keep your situation from capsizing. So we'll be back with that. Thank you everyone for coming through, man. This was great. Oh yeah. I always be forgetting what else. Like my promo. The summer retreat.
It's open. So
Yeah,
.org/retreats and sign up. All right.
I'm so bad at that. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We back on.
All right. And I'll see you in a few hours. All right. Shalom. Peace.
Shalom.
Do you find yourself looking for the reset button? Anu Life Global Ministries are the perfect solution to pull back from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Anu Retreats are a sanctuary for family and community, fostering meaningful experiences that go beyond the ordinary. Visit anulifeglobal.org/Anu Retreats to register and join us around the campfire. Anu Retreats, where mind, heart, and spirit converge.